Man, all right. So again, we get to Kansas City,
Right,
and
right.
is it a culture
KC.
shock for you?
KC, well, you know,
What
not
year
really.
was it?
I had been in Kansas already, Fort Riley, Kansas. Now
Okay, yeah.
Kansas City is a different, you know, it's only about 2.5 hours away. Um, the reason I wound up here in Kansas City, this part, was that when I got out, well, my wife was pregnant. My oldest son, Raymond III, Trey, you
Yeah.
know Trey, he was already born.
What year was this?
That he was born.
What year? Yeah, that y'all in Kansas City and she was pregnant with him.
Oh, well, she was
Oh, wait,
pregnant with
he was
before.
already born.
You
Okay.
know, she was pregnant with the young bull. You
Okay.
know, my middle son, Vontrell.
Uh huh.
She was pregnant with him while I was still in. And what happened? I got orders to go to Korea. They wanted me to go to Korea, and that would mean I would have to leave for a year, leave my family again. I've been to 3 combat zones, so I got over 3 years of being in combat total.
Mm-hmm.
So every time I went, my wife, you know, I had to abandon my wife. But we didn't have any children at first. You know, it took me 10 years before I could have my first son because I was gone all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, now that she had my first son, Raymond the third, then Vontrell, young bull, comes. She's pregnant with him.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I lost my brother. That's the time I lost my brother, while she was pregnant with Vontrell
Where were you at the time this
in
happened?
Fort Riley. I was in Fort Riley.
How did it make you feel? I mean, it's your brother,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you not there.
Hurt me, brother. You know, the way that situation went down, man, it hurt me. I got a call about 4 in the morning, and from a friend of mine. He said, man, bro, Ray, what you doing, man? I said, man, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. What you think? I'm sleeping, man. Bro, I got some bad news. I said, what? Man, Lance just got shot. I said, what? And I went off because, like I told you earlier, man, I practically raised my brothers like I'm their father. You know, I've been taking care of them pretty much. Even when I was in the military and I got housing, I brought them to come live with me. But, you know, when I had to go, they had to go back. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, matter of fact, he had just came see me. He was with me for about a couple of months, and then he went back because, you know, he had his girlfriend out there. So
Mm-hmm.
he went back to Louisiana. And I got the call that he was shot. So I said, what? I'm all emotional about it, man, because, you know, me and my brother's real tight.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you know, I'm on the next thing smoking. I got there the next day. The next day I got there, and right in the ICU, man, and he was hooked up. I mean, his hoses in his nose and his mouth, everything. He's in ICU. They didn't tell me he was in as bad of a shape that he was. My friend, when he told me, he was like, he's gonna be all right though, bro. He got shot, but he all right. And I'm like, what? So my emotions automatically kicked in, you know. I'm ready to go to war. That's exactly how I felt about it, and that's the truth. So I get on the plane, man, and get there, and I see him in that condition. I broke down. And the reason I broke down because I didn't know it was that bad. I didn't know the situation was that severe of a situation. So when I saw him, man, you know, he's unconscious, he's on a breathing machine. You know, he can't respond. And you telling me he just got shot twice? You know, so I'm just filled with rage, man. And you know, that's a part of the journey, I guess, with me becoming the man I am today. Because I still had some things about myself, you know what I'm saying, that I needed to get right. You dig? As far as being a real man. And man, it took a lot out of me. It took a big chunk out of me, man. And all I wanted to do was lash back and lash out, you know. And after that took place, man, I could say probably, and that was in 2000, the year 2000. So I was coming up for re-enlistment, you know. I had done my time. I could either re-enlist or I can get out honorably, you know. I had done my time and everything, and they allowed me to retire early because of my combat exposures. So I took that option. That was based on a decision that my wife was pregnant. I didn't want to go to Korea for a year to be up without him.
So you didn't re-enlist.
I didn't really,
Let,
and
let,
my brother had just got killed.
let me ask, because I know a lot of guys that they when it's time to get out, they get out.
Right.
Did you go back or ever consider going back?
No.
Okay, okay.
And I'm gonna tell you why. I don't have a problem. Look. I've seen a lot of death, did a lot of killing on my part, and that's real. Uh, I'm haunted by that today, brother. You know, when I say haunted, I'm haunted by it. I deal with PTSD strong. So a lot of the emotion you see me in the gym, that's me releasing. You know, a lot of, just like I told you, you know, I got into an altercation with one of the fighters one time. Think I told you. Remember I told you? Remember when that happened? It's because I'm passionate, man. It's not only that I'm passionate, but through those sports, through lifting weights and things like that, I just don't have no quit. I just don't have no quit in me about
Okay.
it.
And before I get, because I don't want to forget, you know, I forget a
Yeah,
lot of
go ahead.
stuff.
Go
We're
ahead.
gonna get back to the Kansas City
Yeah.
because we're gonna get back to when you got there. But before this, you said something that made me think, and I don't want to forget because I don't like writing notes. I ain't writing no notes,
Right.
and this a spur of the moment thing.
Sure enough.
Because I know you, and a lot of us know you off camera. You said you we know you a passionate person. You can tell in your voice. People gonna hear me. I tell you passionate.
Right.
But we know how passionate you are, especially anything you're involved in.
Yeah.
Um, how did you learn? Because it's important for me to know, as a man. I'm sure it's important for a lot of men that don't know how to figure it out. How did you? What was the defining moment where you learned how to channel that negative, bad side and use it for something positive? Because I
Yeah.
honestly believe everything that you do is positive. It has
Right.
some type of positive effect.
Right.
From the Instagram videos where you spoke of the young man, or just uplifting
Right.
the young men in general,
Right.
or the way you carry yourself. What was that defining moment? Because I think I see it a lot. I'm sure you see it a lot
Right.
with the generations and the young men that's get into a lot of trouble
Mhm.
because they really don't know how to channel their energy. They
Right.
probably didn't have that influence or bump into to. It wasn't the lieutenant. It was your sergeant. What was his name? Was it
Lieutenant Griggs. Which one?
Lieutenant
The one that broke
Griggs?
down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that you.
Right.
What everybody don't have that person that they gonna bump into. They gonna miss that
Right.
person. So
Right.
what was
Sure.
your defining moment where, okay, something's got to change, or
Right.
you know, you are that person of admiration. You hold everything that you do highly. I think you always been a man of accountability, from what
Thank
it
you.
sounds
Yeah.
like.
Thank you.
So what was that defining moment?
Well, I wouldn't call it a moment. I would call it an accumulation of events in my life.
Okay, so okay, I
They-
like that too. 'Cause
right.
it doesn't
It's
just
not.
happen
I don't think it's
overnight.
never a moment.
Okay,
It's a time you have to come. You come to a time in your life where you say, "Man, this ain't working. I can't continue to be like this. You know, I can't continue to exist off of a fake image. You know, nobody's tough 24 hours a day. Every man bleed just like you bleed. Every man hurt like you hurt. It's what makes the difference is how they handle the hurt. Some people can be walking around with stage 4 cancer. You don't even know it because they don't let nobody see that part of them, you know, as being weak because they decided to be strong, to live their life as a strong person. And it's not about how much you can lift or none of that. You've seen many times we had big guys coming out convinced they couldn't even make it through the workout though. And that's because one of the things I've learned through an accumulation of my experiences is that it's not what you think you can do at one time. It's what you can do throughout your life. You understand? It's how can you be, you know, one of the sayings I always say, how long can you be strong? You know, I always say
I
that.
always say that.
How
to
long
people.
can you be strong? I mean, and that's a very important thing because being strong in situations when I lost my brother, you know, when I'm in combat situation, and you know, we didn't get to talk about how I lost my best friend off in Bosnia, you know, through the landmines. You know, you got to be strong through that. Losing your partners in combat, you don't walk into it saying, "Look, I can handle this. Look, I can do this. I can go to war." I never said that. I never thought that, you know, I would even be in war. But I had when I went to combat and as other recruits were coming in and they saw my combat patch, oh, I saw Big Sergeant Will. Boss Sergeant Will, man, I can't wait till I get a combat patch. No, damn that combat patch. You don't want it like that. If you gotta be in a situation to do it, then you're gonna have to muster up the bravery to go through and get it. The combat patch don't mean nothing. When I look and see on the right arm my combat patch, I see everybody I lost. That's what I see. And I tell any young brother out here, you're gonna deal with situations concerning fear. You gotta be a man about it. It's not always being physical, but it's being mental and having a spiritual connection. That's another thing that brought me to where I am. I didn't have a spiritual connection. I just was living off of me, just living off of me. And if you just live off of you, you gonna come to a time in your life where you run out, you get sick, you get tired, you get broken down by the situation. So that's, if you want to say the biggest turning point was my connection with God through spirituality.
Okay, thank you, man. Thank you big time for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting a little late. I'm asking. I
No
really
doubt.
want to sit down and get some more talk.
Like I
So
say, you be whenever you're ready, bro.
we could do some more
Whenever you want.
next week.
Just call me up, let me know.
Yeah, dang, because I really wanted to get on the Kansas City. I want to get into how you got into the powerlifting.
Yeah, we can talk about all that.
I wanted to even talk
The
about
wrestling too, the
the
Greco-Roman wrestling. You know, I was on the Army team. I was ranked number 3 in the world.
I want to talk about the wrestling. I forgot one
That's
thing I wanted to mention, my man. I never seen a guy this big and this bulky, but it's flexible, has endurance,
Yeah.
the full package. It's like you done found the way to balance the best of both worlds.
And it is a way.
You're an elite soldier, but you're a power lifter at that
Right,
too.
right.
So I want to talk about that. I really want to mention that video. Before we end it,
Go ahead, man. Let's go.
If you can give that story over exactly how you did for Instagram, and then I'm gonna let you give the audience your Instagram page
No
and your
doubt.
YouTube so they
No
can
doubt.
follow some
No doubt.
of your lessons. That's what I'm gonna call it. But if you give this story,
Well, you know, I really deal with positive male enforcement and strengthening the spirit, mind, and body of young men and old men, no matter what age you are, of men, period. But the story you're talking about, and I kind of put a little comedy in it, you know, but you see this too often. And the way I said, I was riding down 71, going to a VA appointment, right? And I look on the side of the road, this guy over there standing on the side of a car that had a flat tire. So I pull over to go and give him a hand. Say, hey, brother, you need a hand? He said, yeah, sir. He was on his phone. He had his phone up to his ear, you know, talking. I said, hey, young man, you need a hand? Looked like he was about 30 years old. He said, yeah, sir, can you give me a hand? I pulled over, give him a hand. I said, yeah, man, I got a jack in the back. We jack that thing up, pull that tire off, and you be on your way. And so I was walking back to the car to go get the jack. He picked the phone up from his side and said, Mama, you don't have to worry about coming change that tire. Some man came and helped me out. And I start shaking my head, and I immediately took his phone and made him subscribe to Tank Commander Zulu and the Real Man Movement, baby.
That's hilarious, but
it's funny, but
a lot of seriousness in it.
The serious part is, not to cut you off, but the serious part in it is that there's some people today, young men today, that don't even know how to change a tire. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying about this Real Man Movement that I try to present to the world, is that being a male is not enough. You have to be a man. If you're a male, you need to be a man. And it's some manly things that you need to understand that you're responsible for doing. And I'm just using changing the tire for one, but there's many, many different things.
Too often you see. And I don't want to drag the video out too long, but man, I gotta ask. Now I gotta ask, how does that make you feel when you see our young men that's like that? You know, me, I came up here when I was 12, turning 13. Right. You know, my father is from Mississippi. We got, I think, 11? It's 11 of them, like 10 or 11. Right. Five or six girls, 5 or 6 boys. Right. One of them, but we got a lot of men on my dad's side. And my grandfather, growing up, every day he was outside in the shed fixing something. So I come from being around them type of men.
Good.
So
that's good.
How do it make you feel seeing our young men, our generation growing up without some essential knowledge or essential things that you feel are important to be a man, not knowing that, like the young man was on the phone with his mom. Right. If anything, he could have been called an uncle or a
That's
buddy.
What I'm saying.
There's a lot of young men that's running to their mom.
Right, for everything. Right.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel that my generation, and possibly the generation even after me, really dropped the ball. What I mean by that, you made a strong point. You said you come from men who were solid, uncles and things like that. You learned some masculinity. You learned how to do things that, you know, You know what a screwdriver is. You know what a wrench is. You know, just those simple things. And that's not all that makes a man. But when a woman has to stand in the place of a man and she becomes more masculine in her activity than the man, we have a problem there. So I feel that the generations that came, my generation, a lot of guys in my generation dropped the ball. One of the things, a lot of guys that were so afraid of fear, the generation after me, fear of responsibility, taking care of their children, and standing like a man, no matter what it costs you. They took the other route. They did a Lieutenant Griggs. So by doing that, you left these children, these young men out here to learn how to be men in a world that's being feminized. You know, it's feminine. So they're learning from women in a lot of cases, things they should learn from a man. Even if it's not your direct father, it should be your uncle. Some man should be an influence to another young man.
And it's that part of the reason I see you go, you do, and I'm proud of this. You step up and you getting a lot of guidance and filling the role that you don't even have to do.
Right.
You don't have to do this.
Right.
You don't do it for recognition. You let these young men come up under your wings and finding something that they could connect with. If it's something as simple as the gym or wrestling,
whatever it may be.
At the same time, you giving them some life lessons through your action and through your verbiage. Is that part of the reason?
Yes, sir. I would say it is part of the reason. I just see in my military experience, my combat experience, I just see a decimation of the character of men today. And it's important to be a man. It's not being feminized is not acceptable. And we can't just accept that. Some things we let go. Like you might hear me in my video, you wearing too much paint. Men running around with barrettes in their head and ribbons and just feminine type things that you might not think mean something, but they do mean something. Because as you allow one thing to happen and you just laugh at it, then you allow greater things to happen and greater things to happen, and you don't have a man no more. You have a man that's useless. He can't do anything masculine. You know, and that goes from not only, like I said, not only the physical, but the mental and the spiritual. So he'll never know how to stand up in times of trouble like a man because he run to mama all the time. Mama got the answer. His girlfriend got the answer. Everything in his girlfriend name. Everything in mama name. You can't do nothing without mama. You see, that's something. So I speak to those men. I apologize to the generations that came before you. They did a bad job. But we gonna correct that right now. You know, with men like this of substance and men like yourself as well. Substance.
Thank you, man. Tell the audience where they can find you if they want to follow you on Instagram, your YouTube,
yes, sir.
any social outlet, and how you can be reached if somebody wants you to come out and mentor to a young man or just speak to an audience.
Right. Well, you can find me on YouTube at Tank Commander Zulu and the Real Man Movement. That's the name of the movement we've started, Real Man Movement, and it actually spun off from the Guerrilla Squad. Chad knows what's going on with that. But you can find me on YouTube, Tank Commander Zulu. Also on Instagram at tank.commander.zulu. Those are the only two accounts I have right now. Go check out the videos. I try to drop something every week. I try to drop a couple of videos to keep things moving and grooving, you know. Go check that content out. It's all about positive male influence. We don't deal with the negative things. Anything negative, we speak on it, but we have the answers on how to deal with it. So that's what the channel's about. We call it the Real Man Movement. I invite everybody, every man, to get on the tank with Tank Commander Zulu. And if you're a woman, get on the tank with Tank Commander Zulu. You got to be able to recognize what a real man is and get these little boys with barrettes in their hair out your life. That's it, baby.
I'm going to make sure to plug all that information down in the description. So if people want to click on that link and go directly to the channel or the pages you listed. It's getting kind of late out outside. We outside.
We'll do a part
dark,
2.
But we're going to definitely do a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4.
There you
we're
go.
to have my man on the channel. I think it's very, very, very valuable to the channel and got a lot of substance